Hi, I'm Will Raison and welcome to episode 3 of Around the Circuit, and I'm here at Gold Valley and I can't think of a better place for me to start. I've literally fished hundreds of matches here and I do enjoy my pleasure fishing. It is the depths of winter, it's cold, it's a bit dreary, but I'm sure if we find them, we'll catch a few. I'm really looking forward to giving you a massive insight to Gold Valley. I do know it very, very well. Like I say, I live here, I fish here a lot through the winter and a little bit in the summer when I'm not away on international duties. But like I say, it's early in the year, the fishing will be on the back foot, but there's a lot of fishing here, like a lot of these commercials, and finding them is the key. Like I say, I can't wait to get fishing and I can't wait to show you and tell you some of the little secrets and tricks that are going to help you catch fish when you come to Gold Valley. Well, you join me here on Syndicate Lake, peg 120. And I've got a lot of favourite pegs at Gold Valley, but this is definitely one of them. It's a cold, damp, dreary day. And just to try and guarantee getting some bites, this is definitely one of the pegs that I would want to draw in a match or send people to. What you've got is a bank on the right-hand side here with a nice lot of cover, and it's deep against the cover. And just by casting about halfway along the bank, you can get into, say, 4.5 foot of water right next to an old tree stump, and there's quite a few brambles and rushes and that all overhanging. And normally the fish do congregate there, especially on days like today where, as we speak, you've got to give them a little bit of stick just to get them away from that bank. Made me jump that one. Fantastic, but like I say, peg 120 on Syndicate Lake. It wins a lot of matches, but a lot of pegs do. You know, it's hard to pick a favourite, but this is definitely one of those pegs that I'd come to when I thought the weather and the conditions are against me. I took the water temperature this morning, it's 6.2. So like I say, it really is a case of trying to find the fish, and cover is a massive, massive part. Nice big F1, just taking my time. I really do pull in this clear water, and one thing you'll probably notice here at Gold Valley, the water isn't that coloured, not compared to a lot of commercials. Lovely F1. Again, fishing a maggot feeder, and this is a real good opportunity for me to just talk you through the gear I'm using today. There we go, look at that, what a fish, nice plump F1. But the gear I'm using today, and for those of you that follow, read anything that I do, strength and durability for me is of utmost importance. Not just because there's some big fish in here, but there's a chance of it going off. You can end up with a real, you know, lot of fish in your peg. And it isn't, is my gear strong enough to get a 20 pounder in? It's, is my gear strong enough so I can catch 10, 12 fish in 1 hour? What I have got there is a little fluorocarbon leader. Again, with the water being cold and clear, I want to camouflage that rig as much as I can. Just a little tiny link there, just a paternoster, little twizzled loop, loop to loop, an 0.18 hook length to a size 12 Kaizen hook. Again, very, very strong, durable. But when you're fishing in amongst shrubbery, very, very close to overhanging trees, brambles, rushes, and there's some big fish, you've got to be the boss. The one other thing I've set up today, and I'm fishing today's session as if it was a match. And if I'd have drawn this peg, feeder against the bank would be how I'd start. A very, very popular way of fishing on this lake is at the bottom of the near shelf. And I've set up a pole line off to my left just to cover that later on in the session. Whether we catch there with it being cold and clear, I'm not sure. But I'm not going to waffle on too much about Syndicate Lake. First of all, let's go and have a look at Middle. So you join me here on the far bank of Middle Lake. Peg's 85, which is the one I'm on now, which ironically I did win the last match that I fished here at Gold Valley with just under £100. Goes from 85 up to 100. Obviously in the summer it's a different ball game. There's lots of carp, lots of F1s, and you can catch these shallow on pellets and right in the margins. In the colder months, obviously running line plays a part, little maggot feeder, little tiny method feeder, and a long pole as well. But those warmer days when you get that nice southwesterly wind, you can catch a few fish in close still. Although southwesterly is more into this corner, you can still catch up the other end. And one little secret that a lot of people don't know, if you go on to peg 100, 99, 98 and 97, there's sunken islands in those pegs. And when that sun pokes its head out and it gets that little bit warmer, those fish can really get on there. So always bear that in mind. One little trick, if you're up that end of this lake, definitely have a good plumb up, because there is a big variation in depth. And as we all know, getting in the correct depth at the right time of year can be vital to getting a few bites. Well, there's another fish, feels like a good F1. One little secret, and I'm going to part with a few secrets about Gold Valley and things that get me a few more bites. All different venues, different flavours, different colours, they do work. You go to so-and-so and, you know, it's krill. Here at Gold Valley, red and krill is an absolute winner. I don't know why, but the carp and F1s love it. It's easy to incorporate into your method feeder, or if you're cupping in ground bait in the edge, but a lot of people back away from it when you're talking about maggots. Another lovely F1, and like I say, they back away from it thinking that you can't really do it, but trust me, you can. I'm just going to pop this in the net and I'll show you exactly what I do. So I just get my maggots. You can see there's some nice maggots there, just in maize. Take all the maize off, add some of our red krill, the shake and catch, and like I say, just leave it overnight, and you can see just how much brighter those maggots are. They really stand out. They've got a nice krilly smell, that deep, deep red. And like I say, whether it's meat, whether it's ground bait, whether it's pellets, krill is definitely the way. So don't back away from giving your maggots just that little bit of edge and making them that little bit different. Well, there we go. I've just cast out again. I can't believe how good the fishing is with the water being so cold. But like I say, we're here to have a look at a few of the sections. Let's go and have a look at the next one. So you join me here on the opposite bank of Middle. This bank's known as the Causeway bank. The pegs run 61 to 84 from corner to corner. Again, pegs 61, 63 and 65. You can get onto those sunken islands that I spoke about on the opposite bank. They're well within reach for a pole, but a little method feeder with ground bait or micro pellets is an absolute winner, especially when the water temperature just goes on the up a bit. When it's cold, maggots is definitely the game. A lot of people associate Middle Lake with just F1s, but believe me, there's a massive head of carp. Only the other day I caught 14 in a match for just under £100. So that goes to show that there's some real big fish. Tactics-wise, definitely pellets on the pole or close in the margins in the summer months. 4 mils and 6 mils. Expanders on the hook can be very, very good. There's quite a big head of roach, and if you get pestered by them, definitely try a harder pellet. As far as out into the lake, like I said, don't forget there's lots of carp as well as F1s. Loose feeding pellets can work with a bomb, 8 mils, just to be a bit selective, catch those bigger fish, but also a little method feeder, either 50-50 with ground bait and pellets or just micro pellets. Regular casting, getting that volume of bait into your peg will definitely draw fish. The fish here at Gold Valley, like a lot of commercials, are really tuned into noise. And in the warmer months, I would definitely say, if there's no fish in my peg, I want to make a bit of noise. And that method feeder just plopping in all the time and the bait coming off it on a regular basis definitely draws fish into your swim. So that's Middle Lake. Like I've said before, it is the shallowest lake on the site. It's about 4.5 foot deep on average. So just keep an eye on those warmer spells. You get that warm southwesterly wind, and these shallower lakes are definitely going to warm up quicker, and this is definitely where I'd be heading. Just bear in mind also though, when the temperature drops, it will cool down and the fishing can be slightly harder. But all in all, it's a fantastic lake, crammed full of fish, and definitely one of my favourites on the site. There we go, there's another one. Absolutely fantastic sport today. A bite every chuck almost now. We've got those maggots going in. One thing about Gold Valley is we have got a fully stocked tackle shop, available bait, tackle, fresh bait, absolutely superb to have on site. Anything you need, you can just nip in there before your session. And more importantly, and I've touched on it before, it's another great big F1. I've touched on it before, is information about the venue that you're fishing. Now, all these commercial fisheries, they've all got tackle shops now, or bailiff huts or whatever. Don't be afraid to ask. When you come to Gold Valley, if I'm not in the shop, I do a couple of days a week, Dennis is, or even my dad can be about. And if you just ask them, a little bit of information can go a long, long way. You can see there, it's predominantly carp syndicate, but look at that for an F1. I'm not going to turn that down at all. Fishing nice and accurately with a maggot feeder to the cover, fishing heavy. And like I say, really does surprise me on a regular basis, Gold Valley, because I know I go on about it, but the water temperature's low, it's clear, but there is an absolute abundance of fish in all the lakes. In the summer, you can just sit anywhere. As long as you feed quite aggressive, you're going to end up with a lot of fish in your peg. But this time of year, it's about location. And like I've said, a little bit of advice from people that know will go a long, long way. Let's go and have a look at another section. So join me here on the near bank of Syndicate. Syndicate Lake's one of the most popular, not just with match anglers, but also pleasure anglers. Not so many F1s in here, but the F1s are quite big. But there is a massive head of carp and quite a few decent silverfish. There's been fish in excess of 25 pound caught by pleasure anglers and match anglers on this lake. And it is the kind of lake that you do need a big weight, especially in those warmer months. Pellet waggler and bomb fishing does account for a lot of fish. A lot of the pleasure anglers catch well on PVA bags or solid bags, cast towards the middle of the lake. On this bank, it starts at peg 101 and goes up to my right, peg 118, which is quite a famous peg in the match fishing scene. It's won a lot of big matches, and like I say, 9 times out of 10, there's quite a few fish there. One little tip when you're on this lake, if it is warm, these middle pegs that are behind me on the point by the car park, it's slightly shallower. When we did the lakes and we redug them and made them the depth we wanted, we had quite a bit of surplus material left, and we made a nice big bar in the middle of the lake, if that makes sense. And in those warmer months or those slightly sunny winter days, casting onto that plateau can definitely get you some bites. And if I was going to come here pleasure fishing, I would definitely be looking for a warmer wind. Following that, if it is a cold day, try and get out of the wind, because these fish, they're not silly and they're going to sit where it is slightly warmer. You quite often will see the fish topping, especially in the mornings and the evenings in the winter, and that can give you a massive heads up as far as location, tracking those fish down. And like I say, if you can find them, cast them, and there's a very good chance you'll get a few bites. One thing on this lake, like I said, there's a lot of big angry fish, a lot of fish between 10 and 20 pound. So make sure you gear up, heavy line, big hooks and regular feeding, and I'm sure you'll get a few bites. But it's getting to that time of day where it's got to be worth having a look on this pole line. I've been loose feeding it, which again here at Gold Valley is a massive thing, loose feeding, getting that bait falling through the water on a regular basis to draw them fish in. But it is very cold, the water's clear. And I think I just missed a bite. Bit better one. Well, we've gone on the poles, and I wasn't really sure. I was half expecting not to get a bite, but we had an indication quite early, and I've ended up catching quite a few fish on it. Just fishing at the bottom of the shelf. And I spoke earlier about the setup and the terminal tackle on that feeder rod, and the pole rig is no different. Very durable, strong. Starting from the elastic, I've got a hybrid elastic, which is the black, which is an absolutely perfect elastic. It's soft, but it powers up really quick. Main line of the rig is 020. The hook length is 018 fluorocarbon to a size 12 hook. And you can see just why you need to be tooled up when you're going into where there can be a lot of fish, especially as a match angler. You really need to be geared up. Real big fish again. And this is the beauty. Pleasure anglers, you know, you can catch loads of decent fish, big fish. But in matches, what's lovely about this lake is you can get out of trouble. By that, I mean, you can literally be nowhere and drop it in. Oh, lovely. Well, look at that for a fish in the depths of winter, on the pole, krill maggots, fishing at the bottom of the shelf. That line will only get better as the year goes on. But like I say, Gold Valley never ceases to amaze me. I thought it was going to be tricky today, and we've ended up having a fantastic day. But it gives me the ideal opportunity to run through the last section, which is actually the bank I'm sat on now. It's the far bank of Syndicate, and the pegs run from 119, which is the corner peg to my right, all the way up to 142 in the opposite corner. And like I say, it really is a bank that produces some big weights of fish. Not just in the summer, but also in the winter. Big fish, double figure fish. And basically what you've got is you come off this bank, 119's got the corner, 120, which I'm sat on now, you can cast to the bank but long. And then what happens is the lake drops off deep to about 7 foot, and it runs along till you get to peg 129. Then it shallows up a bit, about 1.5 foot, 2 foot, and that bar actually runs to peg 134, and then it drops off again and you go back into the deeper lake. It really is a fantastic bank for margin fishing in the summer, and even in the winter, like I'm fishing now, the bottom of that shelf, you can really catch some big weights of fish. In the summer, loose feeding pellets, fishing a bomb, fishing a waggler, and margin fishing accounts for some massive weights. Like I've said on a few of the other lakes as well, for pleasure anglers, PVA bags, solid bags account for a lot of fish. It really is one of those lakes, you've got a big expanse of water to attack. Loose feeding very often, 8mm pellets, especially in the summer, can be absolutely deadly. And the big carp in here are definitely tuned into noise. So that's a little insight on the far bank of Syndicate. Love doing this today. Love the Syndicate Lake, all the lakes here at Gold Valley, and I hope the information that I've put across not only helps you when you come here to Gold Valley, but maybe you can incorporate it nearly into a lot of your fishing. Well, we've come to the end of the session and it's been absolutely amazing. We've caught a big weight of fish, started on the feeder, and we've gone down that near shelf on the pole, and it's been really good. Some double figure carp and big F1s. Before I put my rig away, I just want to show you the exact setup that I've used today. I've got a 416 carp diamond, which is strong, durable and very visible. Black hybrid elastic, 020 mainline. I've got a couple of back shot there. We've had a bit of a nasty wind in our face, and just to steady that rig up, I'm not a massive fan of back shot, but when it's right, it's right. And in these adverse weather conditions, it's definitely helped me today. Now, one little tip here at Gold Valley, I touched on earlier about the water is always on the clear side. A lot of commercials you go to, it's almost like coffee or tea, the water. At Gold Valley, because they're gravel diggings, it tends to be on the clearer side. And you'll notice that my rig isn't that positive. I've got a bulk there of stots, and then I've got a nice long gap, and I've got one number 8 stot, another gap, and a nice 6-inch hook length. That keeps everything up, out the way of the fish. I'm not going to spook them. I'm not going to foul hook as many. So when you do come to Gold, or indeed fish anywhere where the water's on the clear side, just lift those shot up, get them away, and that should stop spooking fish, and in turn, obviously, get you a few more bites. So that's my pole rig for today's session. It's worked an absolute treat. I've not been broke, and it just goes to show that strength and reliability, even this time of year, is vitally important. What a fantastic day we've had today here at Gold Valley, filming the 3rd series of Around the Circuit. Absolutely brilliant. It's took me by surprise, but I do know just how many fish are in there. We put a few in the net, but we've had well in excess of 150 pounds today. Some great big fish, big F1s, big carp. I put most of the bigger ones back, but there you go. Absolutely fantastic. I hope you've liked the video that we've done today and really liked some of the tips and that. And if you do come here to Gold Valley, put them to good use, but also they will ripple into your other fishing as well, definitely. If you can like and subscribe, it would be appreciated. That way you'll get to see all the videos and everything we're going to be doing.